when I look back on my journey from jumping from WPS, the W League, which is now the A League, the early days of the NWSL, just looking back at everything that I had to go through, there were days that I really genuinely wanted to give up playing.
We definitely have to talk a little bit, just a little bit about
I know where you're going.
North
I hate
Carolina Courage, and we'll talk about Seattle Reign FC, but we couldn't just talk about this game in any old kind of way. No. We had to have an additional special guest on to talk about this because they were honored in this game. Jess McDonald was honored in the Ring of Honor for North Carolina Courage. What an image if you're joining us live on YouTube. A retirement jersey or post-playing jersey. We'll let her frame it when she joins us, but it is framed with McDonald number 14, and we've got the baby and the mama kit jersey. You love to see
Patrick,
it.
you cutie pie.
Look, everyone's looking great. Everyone's looking healthy. Everyone's looking happy. You 100% love to see it. You got to find the silver linings, and this was 100% one of those silver linings, I think, for North Carolina's Carolina Courage fans on this day, because unfortunately they had to walk away with a loss on this one. But doesn't hurt to have a legend in the mix. And hopefully she's here to join us to talk all about those experiences. Jess McDonald with us live on A3. How you doing, Jess?
Oh, I'm good. Just got off the plane not long ago from that crazy whirlwind of a trip, but honestly, what an experience. I thought it was amazing. My closest friends came out who didn't experience North Carolina when I was there originally, and all my mentors who had such an impact, not just on my life, but on my playing career as well. So honestly, the whole thing was just nothing short of amazing.
Congrats, Jess. It's such a high point. Maybe they should have extended the ceremony 90 plus minutes. It would have been a much more feel good event for everyone involved. But little Patrick looks adorable. I'm glad that he got to rock Mama's shirt.
Yeah, I thought that was so cute. That was the smallest one that they had. That thing went down to his ankles, but it was still so cute.
It was like a jersey dress. It was adorable.
It was, yeah.
Like the baby just absolutely pulled it off. How does something like that come to life? Like, this isn't something that's quite common yet. We'll just say yet, because you're a player who has had the experience of playing across different leagues within the United States. You know what it's like to play in those really early days of a WPS, have this league exist at one point, then poof, gone the next, and then have to be part of another league in its early days in NWSL, and then eventually find such incredible success with the club side in the Courage and just rack up titles, rack up individual accolades, individual moments and highlights. I mean, I could still see your incredible championship moments in Portland, just like incredible goal sellies, right? Jesus paid it all. Just loving all these moments. I can replay them in my head over and over. And so while we're privy to that, we have those memories and we understand, but what does it mean, or what's the significance in that something like a Ring of Honor exists for players from a club, that they can be kind of bestowed with this? Because it isn't really something that we get to see too often in NWSL, but we're seeing it now.
Yeah, to me, I had to explain this to people when I was in Carolina still. Because like when you're a player and you're in it still, you want to speak humbly about yourself. Like, yeah, it's great, but I gave a speech and I gave a shout out to my son, Jeremiah, my oldest kid. He's 13 years old, and he's 13 years old. So out of the 13 years that I played professionally, 12 of them, I was a single mother to top it off. And so when I look back on my journey from jumping from WPS, the W League, which is now the A League, the early days of the NWSL, just looking back at everything that I had to go through, there were days that I really genuinely wanted to give up playing because, conditions were bad. We weren't being treated the way that we should have as players. Me as a mom, I always had this chip on my shoulder. There were a lot of clubs that I played for that didn't accept me as a mom. The injuries, the setbacks, the trades, everything that I had gone throughout my pro career, I had my kid beside me. And I used him as my inspiration. I didn't want to give up that easily just because I wanted to inspire him one day. And so going through all of that, because there were more downs than ups, people always just look at my trophies, the rings, the accolades, and I'm like, you have no idea what I went through to get all of that, and it was more setbacks and adversity than it was the successful part. And it's all about the journey. It's all about the process. And so at the end of the day, this is something historical that means the absolute world to me, and it always will. But, this mama, I got to pat myself on the back because I went through it to get to it, and I got to it. And that's something that no one can take away from me. And I am just overly proud of myself, So after they handed me my flowers last night at the game, it was just like this sigh of relief, basically. And I'm like, I did it.
Yeah.
I effing did it. I did it. And I pat myself on the back because it honestly doesn't get any better than that. Just winning at every level that I ever played at, from college, pro, World Cup. Mama gets to hang up her boots, pat herself on the back. I gave my kid a big hug, my oldest, who was there throughout my entire journey. And that's representation of all the moms. It's representation of those who go through crap in their lives, which is everybody. But just with my journey, it just shows that these things that are possible to happen. And so I'm just overly proud of myself. This is legendary, and to be part of a legendary program, getting a Ring of Honor with Sam Mewis. I mean, honestly, it's nothing short of amazing. And, I got to tell myself how damn good of a job that I did. And, I was getting teary-eyed. I was getting emotional just because of everything I went through. And honestly, it's just a very historical moment. And this is something that I will always let sink in for the rest of my life. And I'm very proud of myself for all of it.
Yes, you should be. I hope you realize that not only do you still have done an entire career on hard mode, right? Also being an excellent mom, which is saying a lot because it requires a lot of selfishness to be a top level soccer player. And then on top of that, we had a record CBA this past season. And you are one of one who definitely contributed to tipping that first domino to show, expose where the gaps are that need to be filled so that there are different avenues and choices and autonomy available for future soccer players. So I tip my cap to you always. You deserve more than flowers and a Ring of Honor. But I hope people realize that. Go look at all of Jess's records that she still got up there. Okay? Like, it's 2025. Those aren't going away.
No, not at all. I mean, at least not anytime soon, doesn't feel like. I think there's always going to be records. Like, people say that records are there to be broken, but until they're broken, we're still going to keep talking about the people who hold them. And for us, it's going to be Jess McDonald. Do you have a little bit of time to actually talk about the game with us for a little bit?
Yeah, I can talk about the game, man. Right. Yeah,
look, we can talk about it. A couple minutes, because I was like, I can't believe they're out here spoiling the party. Did they not get the memo about the Ring of Honor? I was like, okay, Seattle Ring. It was a 2-1 loss for the Courage on this night. Hard to deny Jess Fishlock playing in her own, making a little bit of her own history. 200th NWSL match, scores just after the half-hour mark. And you tie in Jordan Buggs, hell of a goal, just absolute banger from distance. And while the Courage did try to make a game of it, I want to ask you, where do you think maybe the game on this night was lost a little bit for the Courage?
Yeah, you know what? I saw the first game, honestly, of the season, and what I think that they're lacking is a front line. They don't have a big dog up top. And I said this in our last episode last weekend that, that's where they're going to continue to struggle throughout the season. I mean, you look at the back line, the goalkeeper, I mean, a few poor giveaways. It's still the beginning of the season from back there, but those are very fixable things, and we know what they're capable of. Same with Casey Murphy. The midfield, pristine. It's that front line getting into that final third. It's like, okay, y'all are getting close to goal. Who's going to be scoring this season? And they inch closer and closer, but there's just not anyone just to put it away. And so I think that's just going to be a struggle for them until they sign someone who is going to be capable of leading that team when it comes to goal scoring, because that final third, it's like, you get the edge of your seat and then you sit right back down, and get into the final third. And so that's what we saw in the first game. That's what we saw in the second game. And then, this was something I was talking about after the game, that they just don't have a big dog up top. They don't have a Barbara Banda. They don't have a Chawinga. I can go on for days about the big dogs that are in this league who play for different teams. And so I think that's just what they need, just a solid 9, someone who's quick, someone who can hold up the ball, someone who's technical, the whole package that you need from a 9 position. And so I think as long as they're sticking with this roster, that's what their struggle is going to continue to be, is in the final third.
Listen, I don't think that's unfair. Look, it's only week 2. We're gonna probably keep saying that it's early in the season, right? So maybe about 4 to 6 weeks in. But and please correct me if I'm wrong, the former players here. Please, I'm always here to be checked. But I'm just of the opinion or the belief that no, you can't lose a long season this early in the season, but you can definitely try to set yourself up for some later success, especially in a league like NWSL, where things kind of really come down to the nitty-gritty in those kind of final 6 to 4 weeks of the season. Is it how early is too early, Jen, to sort of say, well, North Carolina really have to kind of, make their adjustments where they need to make their adjustments and do it quickly?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And first of all, Jess, just want to massively congratulate you. I couldn't jump in there, but what an honor to receive that accolade, and truly deserved. And it was great to see it. For me, talking about NC Courage and how important, starts are at the start of the season, I'll resort back to us at BFC last season. Started pretty poorly, struggled to pick up points early on in the season. And I will say it's one of the most competitive leagues in the world, and teams can really beat each other at any point. But I think momentum is huge in football, and I think morale is massive as well. And I think when you get back-to-back losses, or struggling to pick up points, or struggling to perform as a team, that can really feed quite negatively. But with that said, I think that it's all about mentality. It's all about putting a game to bed and understanding what went wrong, and understanding that you have to get onto the training pitch that week and figure out what went wrong. But I do agree with what's been said about the front line and struggling, because I feel like last season as well, Courage were very much this possession-based football, but come the final third, struggled in that sort of getting clear-cut chances, right? Really comfortable on the ball, having the ball for long spells at a time, but the amount of times that teams would counter-attack them and they concede and end up losing. So, but no, to answer your question, I think this season's long, and I think they'll pick up points eventually, but in terms of morale, it's not great for a locker room to continuously be losing back-to-back. It's not great.
I do wonder if, part of all this is the growing pains of getting new faces and positions to click. I think with Jaden Shaw, we maybe saw a little bit of a false 9 kind of energy at times there. And I think we can all agree that if, Jaden Shaw isn't getting the ball, getting the touches, or getting the looks on it, that maybe that doesn't bode well for the Courage. But I guess that silver lining is that it is just week 2, and maybe there is time to sort of continue to develop that. And we'll see. Maybe this is the game where they're going to take a look at some of those things that worked or didn't work and try to build off of those into week 3. But for the Courage, not only did they honor Jess McDonald in the Ring of Honor, but they set a new home opener attendance record of 8,158. So that was great to see for their opening weekend at home. And the pair of goals that the Reign scored, it actually marks the first time that the Courage conceded multiple goals at home since 2023. So we're talking about, again, records on records, not one that you want to see broken, but it's the little things, right? These are the things that maybe they're going to go back and take a look at and try to tighten up for the week in front of them. And in the meantime, maybe they'll come back with a dub to honor Jess McDonald after honoring her in the Ring of Fire, Oh my goodness, in the Ring of Honor. We want to thank you for joining us, Jess. Thank you for giving us some of your time. You're saying you're coming right off of traveling. We appreciate you hanging out with us on A3 Sunday nights, the recap.